I want to preface this by saying this video is not a hit piece, because I liked this album. We've seen it all, we've heard it all. Madvillainy 2, Yandhi, Detox, Andre 3000 solo album, and a Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole album. These are all hip-hop albums that will likely never release, and even if they did, they would immediately fall flat due to the, at this point, decades of hype surrounding them. Even if they dropped, none of these would live up to the expectations of fans. Sure, there are a few rarities, such as the new Black Star album No Fear of Time, but that release was bogged down by the fact they released it on a fucking podcasting platform, of all places. Seriously, just put it on Bandcamp or Tidal. What are you doing? Either way, it was actually quite a good album. I don't know if it lived up to or exceeded expectations, but if it fell flatter of the expectations, it wasn't enough to dull the experience. I'm talking about this because Kendrick Lamar just released his long-anticipated album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. The problem with waiting so long to make something is that the hype doesn't die down if the artist is good enough. It's the reason people were still talking about Madvillainy 2 before and after MF Doom's unfortunate passing. Regardless if I like the new Kendrick album or not, it's important to understand how the hype got to this point before he dropped this new project. Generally, if you wait 4 years or less, chances are you'll probably be fine, but once you hit the 5-year mark, the expectations start to climb. In 2017, Kendrick Lamar drops his critically acclaimed album Damn, which for me wasn't the best thing ever, but I did like it. After some live shows and whatever, some features here and there, and a collector's edition of Damn where the track list is backwards, we get an effective radio silence. In 2018, he's a part of the Black Panther soundtrack, and he's on the song from the Black Panther soundtrack with the infamous line, that's about the only thing he releases, along with, and he's on Mona Lisa by Lil Wayne, and he kills it. 2019 comes, and at this point the fans are wondering, is he gonna drop? Is he gonna drop? When's it happening? And he does a few features. It's important to note at this time Kendrick would be extending the length between his releases to the longest it's ever been in his career. You see, the Kendrick Lamar EP came out in 2009, Overly Dedicated in 2010, Section 80 in 2011, Good Kid in 2012, The Deluxe in 2013, then To Pimp Butterfly in 2015, Untitled and Mastered in 2016, and then Damn in 2017. In the 2010s, he was on fire with a streak of releases. And fast forward, it's 2020. He's slated to release an allegedly rock-inspired album, and nothing happens. At this point, people are saying he's retired. In 2021, he only features on Baby Keem's album, and Kendrick Lamar fans are fiending like crazy. It was clear though at this time he was going to come back soon, because he ended a recent live show, I believe in Las Vegas, with "I will see you very soon." And then the following February, this February, he played the Super Bowl. Fast forward a little bit, once again, to April 2022, and he replies to a tweet that claims he's retired, linking his website with an announcement that he'll be releasing an album on May 13th, 2022. With the expectations through the roof this much, how could he possibly deliver? The cynic in me says he can't, but despite him dropping this album, I genuinely did like some of it. The problem with releasing a double album is that you set yourself up. Your album will automatically be longer than a standard release simply because there are two sides. I'm not really sure, but something about this release just doesn't feel right to me. No, this is nothing like Frank Ocean doing Endless and then finessing Def Jam, blah blah blah. It's not the fact we finally received another Kendrick album, it just feels like something he wouldn't make. I know we need to stop comparing him to his previous projects because that is something different, but when you're a musician or an artist, your work will constantly be compared to itself, and this is just something you as both artist and fan have to cope with. I'll review each disc of these two discs separately because it's a double album. The first disc starts off honestly very well. United in Grief is a great opener, the piano at the beginning is perfect. I'm not an insane fan of the second beat that comes in at first or his flow, but I like the instrumental builds and gets more somber, while also energetic as he tells a story. N95 starts off kind of bad in my opinion. I don't like his little nursery rhyme thing at the beginning, but it's fine. The beat is actually really good, and I like his flow in this one, even the parts where he sounds like he wrote it for Baby Keem. That's another thing about this song, it sounds like it was meant to be a solo Kendrick song in the melodic blue, or he would have given that part of it to Baby Keem. Worldwide Steppers is weird. I don't get why Kodak Black is here, but we'll save that for the time it comes. I like the chorus or the hook, I like the somber instrumental that builds with the droning sound in the background and that piano. You're gonna see later on throughout this review that I like Kendrick when he's on a piano. Die Hard, not gonna lie, sounds like a generic pop song. I'm sorry, I just can't. Kendrick's verse is fine, and Blast does good enough, but I think this is probably the worst of the first half of the first disc, besides the song for later. Father Time is the best song. It's not even close. The beat sounds like Knots and Madlib, despite it being Bacone, DJ Dahi, Soundwave, and some more. Kendrick's storytelling is A1 here, and oh my god, dude, don't even get me started on Sampha. This is the first time I've ever heard Sampha, and on the first listen I was like, ew, he's British. Man, I just can't help but be xenophobic against the Brits, despite about 85% of my DNA coming from the gamer of Europe. Where was I? Oh yeah, Kendrick Father Time. I've grown to like Sampha's part of the song, and I'll definitely check out Sampha's 2017 album Process after this, because I know a lot of people really enjoy that. The next track is Rich Interlude with Kodak Black just talking. I don't see why this has to be here. The instrumental is kind of good, but I don't know. I don't really see myself coming back to this one, let alone any of the interludes in general. Rich Spirit is fine, probably the weakest song here besides We Cry Together is f***ing horrible. It's produced by Alchemist, but it's not a good Alchemist beat. I like the concept of the song, but in execution it's terrible. Completely ruins the flow of the first disc. I will never listen to this again. Purple Hearts is good. I don't like Summer Walker's part, but the beat and Kendrick are good. Oh yeah, and the feature that stole the show, Ghostface Killah himself. I need a new Ghostface album as soon as possible, especially after this. I know he promised Supreme Clientele too, but man, the people are waiting, the fans are waiting. Come on, man. Disc number 2 starts with Count Me Out, and honestly is a good intro to the second disc. I like the barebone instrumental here with the chorus, and Kendrick's flow here is great. Some of the lyrics here are quite relatable too. The second half of the song is good too, not as good as the first half in my opinion. Crown is a really enjoyable self-reflective track. I think the piano instrumental here isn't quite as interesting, but this is definitely one of the songs you play while staring at the ceiling in your dark room at 3 AM on a summer day wondering, is this it? Is there more to life than the 7 to 3, the 9 to 5? What comes now? What comes next? What comes after? I like the Silent Hill beat. I'm not a huge fan of Kodak Black, but he honestly does fine here. Kendrick's flow is a little awkward too, but I'm not generally sure, it'll still have to grow on me. The Savior interlude features Baby Keem, and he's kinda interesting on this. I prefer this to the first interlude with Kodak Black, but I don't know. Savior as a song is pretty good, but I don't anticipate myself going back to it often. Kendrick's verse is fine, despite some nursery rhymes here and there and some bad lines. Sam Dew does good, but Baby Keem's part is fairly uninteresting. Auntie Diaries is a fantastic message, but I'm not a big fan of how the song is delivered, and I don't see myself going back to this one. Mr. Morale, one of the title tracks, it's fine. Tana Leone doesn't keep me engaged enough here, and this is the point in the album where it begins to drag again. My big problem with this album is just too long. Two of my favorite albums, The Cold Vein and To Pimp a Butterfly, as well as this, are also about the same length, but neither of those two drag on because there's just less, and those albums are more effective at getting across a central message. Mother I Sober is one of the best songs here. I like the low-key piano in the background, Kendrick's delivery here, and the lyrics are so hard-hitting. This is definitely going on the Breakdown Bangers playlist for sure. The best part of this song, in my opinion though, is the feature from Beth Gibbons of Portishead. Seriously, if you haven't heard Dummy, go do that after you watch this. I kind of recommend it. The final track here is Mirror, and I have no problems with it. I like the lyrics, delivery, instrumental, and it sounds like the ending credits to a movie. It's the perfect outro given everything else we've heard up until this point. Overall, I like this album, but I think it's too inconsistent, runs too long, generally has engagement issues, no pun intended. So I think I'd rate this a 7 out of 10. Good for a double album, especially because most hip-hop double albums are bad or run far too long. This one generally avoids a lot of the double album issues though. Granted, it's not as good as Good Kid, T-Pab, Section 80, or even Damn, but I think this is still a good album with a place in Kendrick's discography. It sounded like he had a lot to get off his head mentally, so I'm glad he did that. And if he needs it, I hope he gets help. That's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Peace.